Today we talk to Peter Gray, who lives on the other side of the Atlantic in America, living near Boston, capital of the US state of Massachusetts. Now, Peter Gray is a research professor of psychology at Boston College. Peter specializes in developmental and evolutionary psychology. He's a renowned advocate for self-directed education and the crucial role of play in child development. He wrote the renowned book called Free to Learn. The talk I had with Peter is divided into 3 videos: social media, play, and self-directed education or learning. So this third video puts the focus on self-directed education and how Peter's research revealed what he perceived as its advantages. This focus in his research was a result of his own experience of being a father bringing up his son, as you will now hear. Let's start from the beginning. Why did you decide that you would study children and play together?
Yeah, well, I didn't start off my research career that way. I started off studying the brains of rats and mice and how certain hormones bind to those brains and
Yeah,
doing laboratory science of that sort. But meanwhile, I had a son who
yeah,
was rebelling in school. And I tell this story in the beginning of my book, Free to Learn, but just very briefly,
yes.
his rebelling about school led me to his mother and me to have to find a different route for his
His
education. It
education.
was very clear he hated school, as school was defined
Oh,
here, and it was a school that most people think of as a good suburban public school, but
yeah.
to him it was prison. He would every day from
Oh,
kindergarten on, he would say, "You're sending me to prison."
oh,
And he would rebel. And, we kept trying to push him and encourage him. But at some point, the rebellion reached the point where we realized we had to be on his side. We had to agree with him. For him, school was prison, and we were sending him to prison. And so we had to find something different. And we found something very different. The school called the Sudbury Valley School, which is a school where it's a school. It is certified as a school in the town of Framingham, Massachusetts, but it is nothing like what we think of as school. It's a place where there are children from age 4 on through 18 or so, typical school age range.
yeah.
They're not segregated by age. They're not assigned to
Oh,
any specific spaces. They can go wherever they want in the buildings or on the campus. There are no required courses, and in fact, there aren't even any courses offered unless students get together and say they would like a course on something.
yeah.
There are no tests, there are no substitutes for tests. So this was a remarkably different approach to education. Yet the school had been in existence for some period of time, even at that time. This was a long time ago. I think the primary characteristic that compensates for the fact that they haven't learned a lot of the same subject matter that the kids had learned is they've learned how to take charge of their own life, to take responsibility for themselves. And they know that they can learn whatever they want to learn. They've all their whole life so far, up until they left the school, has been, and they've been learning on their own. They don't have any difficulty figuring out how to learn
Mm,
something that they need to know.
yeah.
So, so for example, I asked some of the students, some of them we interviewed personally, some of the others we had, some of them who are still in the local area we interviewed personally. So I remember, for example, one young person who had gone on to college and taken majored in biology, and I said, you took a biology course, your freshman biology, your first year biology course. You'd never studied biology before in any formal way. And here you were in a class with all these other people who had taken biology in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a problem for you? And they said, and the answer was, well, I thought it would be a problem.
Mm,
So I went in expecting to have to work hard and do a lot of, but it really wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
And the professor pretty much starts from the beginning anyway. They go and they do in high
The
school,
basics. Yeah.
but they don't assume that anybody really remembers anything from high school. Well, so
It's true.
I was a college professor. I'm not teaching
Mm.
now, but I know that's true. You can't assume that anybody remembers anything from high school.
Yeah, you've got to start
In
from
high school,
baseline.
you learn it to pass the test, and then you
Yeah.
empty your mind of it, and you go on to the next test.
Yes.
And so so college professors start from the other thing is that I
Mm.
understand, and that is certainly true, is that professors are arrogant enough to believe that whatever the kids learned in high school was probably wrong anyway.
Oh,
And
yes.
so,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, so that you're going to start from the beginning. So you're
Yeah.
not really at a disadvantage not
Yeah.
having taken the same courses, some
Yeah.
having taken the
Um,
courses that others.
and finally, in terms of mixed age groups, in terms of children learning from each other, you also pick that up in your book as well. That clearly is very important.
Yes, that's right. So the founder of this school that my son went to,
Mm.
he always argued that a school like this could not work if children were segregated by age.
Yeah.
The reason it works is that the children are constantly learning from one another, and young children are learning from older children in two basically different ways. Partly they're learning just by being around older children, seeing what they're doing and wanting to
Watching.
do what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You know, you see these older children reading and talking about what they're reading. Maybe they're just reading comic books and laughing about them. And younger kids, I want to join that club. I want to be able to read. I want to
Looks
be
like
like
fun.
those kids
Yeah.
who are a little older than me, who are having fun doing that. But it's not, I say reading because we think of that as part of education, but it applies to climbing trees, to do all kinds of things that
Yeah.
younger children want to do that. The other thing is that it turns out that older and younger children play together, even though the school has been large enough that kids, if they wanted to, could play just with others who are within a year or two of their own age. That's not the case. They like to play. Older kids like to play with younger kids, and of course, the younger kids love to play with older kids. And when they're playing together, the older kids are always boosting the younger ones up to higher levels of play. You know, might be literally if they're climbing a tree, literally boosting them up. But if
Yeah.
they're playing a game, let's say involves reading or paying attention, they're reminding the younger kids of what they're supposed to be doing. They're pointing out how to read this word. They're doing things all the time to raise the level of they're not reducing the older children are not reducing the challenge of the play for themselves, but they're modifying the play in a way that's still challenging and interesting for themselves, but also interesting and able to accommodate the abilities of the younger children. And so the play becomes very creative. It becomes
Mm.
a way that and the younger children are acquiring more advanced skills by playing with the older children. And meanwhile, the older children
Ah,
are
yes.
gaining something as, as important, at least, which is they're learning, you know, I can be a leader, I can be a helper, I can be a teacher, and they're adapting, they are acquiring nurturing skills that are
Yes.
extremely important to human development.
Mm.
It may not be surprising that teenagers, boys as well as girls, love to play with little kids.
They
And
do.
that
That's
should
true.
not be surprising because teenagers, you know, at least in our ancestral environment and not that long ago, are close to the age when they might become parents themselves. And
Mm.
so natural selection would endow you with a drive to learn how to deal with little kids, learn how to be
Yeah.
kind to learn how to help little kids. You don't want to have your own child be the very first little kid you're involved with. So, so to me, as an evolutionary psychologist, it's not surprising that older kids love to play with little kids.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much indeed for this afternoon's discussion. We are most grateful here in the UK, indeed, Nape. So thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye to you, and thank you.